Beautiful brothers and sisters, Geeia Ariati here, Adonai, and welcome to our 144 upgrades and collective energy information. So this is all about soul growth through Earth School. So many of us have been moving through all different kinds of initiations, and yet we still choose to cycle the same paths, the same ripples, the same pathways of transformation. And so it is very important for us to understand that each cycle we are gaining either a higher perspective, or we are further stabilizing or integrating, or we're becoming more knowledgeable. So the more times that you cycle the same information, the more that you become embodied in its wisdom and its knowledge. And if you're experiencing it and you're in it, it's because there's something that needs to be interpreted from a higher lens, or it is something that requires you to integrate and stabilize from a different point of experience. So when you are jumping on, please do take a couple of nice, strong, deep breaths. This is a lot of frequency and energy here, and we are talking about power, and we are talking about early childhood fragmentation. So this is a theme that is very present for us to come up and alchemize and work together with. And it's also come with a very special guided message for those of you that have spent time with me working with consciousness in mystery schools, in transformation, in quantum healing. I stopped doing healing work, and I'm focusing on creation and New Earth consciousness and mystery school, which is still my focus. However, there has been a calling open and invite for some of the inner child emergence or reconciliation processes. So meeting the inner child and what is required, and transforming and healing that. So as you are landing here into this space, it is my invitation for you to really feel into your body and to feel into your experience in this moment around what might be coming up energetically in relation to early childhood fragmentation, and also questioning where is it that you're limiting your power, that you're creating some level of suffering, chaos, and pain in your experience. So we're going to take a couple of deep breaths, and we are going to allow for the energy to open and to become reciprocal in its creation nature, as well as giving consent and permission for me to energetically work on you as you receive this transmission, to activate, realign, and to assist you with your blueprint creation in the knowing that I'm here in service for the law of one, the all, and to reinstate sovereignty back on the planet. And so if it is true for you, please say yes as you take these 3 deep breaths to receive the frequency transformation and the support from my higher self, my monadic self, and from my connection in channel to God's source creator. Taking a deep breath in and out. In and out. And in and out. Now I'm asking for all beings that are receiving this to please engage in the comments as you're receiving the replay, to engage, like, share, because this helps for these messages to be met with our soul family, our brothers and sisters around the world, and support them in what's actually quite a challenging initiation and transformational process. So what's happening for the 144 at the moment? What is it that's moving through the bringers of change as a collective transformation? It's the reclaiming of power. Now, some of you may have already gone through power reclamation, yet you might have moved into a different evolution or a different awakening stage or a different transcendence, and each level requires a new claiming of power. Everything that we have within this universe is built on foundational laws and rules, and the sacral chakra will always be responsible for where you are either rejecting power, overusing power, misusing power, suppressing power, and your sacral chakra people will tell you. So if your sacral chakra is bloated at the moment, if you've got extra weight in your abdomen, if you've got digestive upset, if you've got challenges in your womb space, like polycystic ovaries, if you are experiencing lower back pain, sciatica, all of those different physical ailments will tell you that your sacral chakra is working in balancing, synergizing, and alchemizing the densities or the stories of the separation points that exist within your physical body. So this sacral chakra activation is in connection with the heart. Now, this is working on two chakras specifically, that's being sacral and the heart chakra. And this is about the time between 0 and 7 that requires a point of reclaiming what was lost in this human experience. Now, I've spent a lot of time doing informed childhood trauma reconciliation, as well as experiencing and alchemizing a lot of my own challenging experiences in this incarnation that were specifically around early years of extreme levels of the malevolent forces, satanic abuse, demonic energies, and different ways that presents. And so I've attracted and brought in to my energy field as a facilitator and a support a worker in this form, many individuals that have been either brought into this world and they've been child sex trafficked, they have experienced extreme levels of sexual abuse from parental figures as well as uncles and family fragmentations and levels of things that is what you might consider some of the things that we don't really speak to in the form of what happens. We think it only happens in the Illuminati rings, right? But those Illuminati rings, they actually exist within many families that have high vibrational beings that come into body and are here, and they get fed off. They have contracts and agreements, and they've given up a part of their soul to have a vessel to be here of contribution. And so there's many layers to this, and it is very, very, very multidimensional, as well as there is a very strong human necessity to meet the child and to really love the child. Now, I don't know many people that do inner child work and actually bring the child back into emergence. They often will take a child back into the experience, and sometimes that means re-traumatizing or only receiving parts of the information. And it is a very delicate process, because what happens with childhood trauma or a childhood fragmentation is it always results in some level of fear or severe severance in the form of, right? So 0 to 7, where you fragment and you separate from your ascended mastery, your angels, your connection to God, your gifts and abilities, that happens by an experience that if I don't do this, I will die. And from the higher self, the monad, or from the angelic God presence, the truth is that I had to separate myself so I could stay alive. Now, it's not that it was an illusion, because the truth is that energies that were not of God came in and tried to cause harm. Now, disassociation, cognitive dissonance, and the different protection programs or shadow self energies, the identities that are created and the default mechanisms that protect you as an adult, but also as a child, were very much designed and created very specifically so that you could be in the experience that you were in without dying, without having nervous system overload, without having seizures, without having a lot of experiences where basically your spirit is taken from your body, put in a different dimension, maybe taken up to heaven, maybe it was frozen during the experience and then placed back into your body. So it is quite extreme in the different layers and levels of the things that I have witnessed with my clients, witnessed with myself. And I could probably speak to you for about 5 hours straight just on this topic and still not share all of the information about it, because there is so many layers to what is here. So what's important for us now? the important recognition is that at this point in time, we are in a collective return to power, which is connecting our heart and our sacral, which means that we need to look at the part of ourselves between 0 and 7 that fragmented from our power specifically. Now, you can go back to the origin point and you can return your power and look at the beliefs, the attachments, the shadows, the emotions, but from someone who has experienced a lot of childhood trauma and thought even now that I'd be able to manage, I've just recycled through a new version of this that has been really challenging for me, that's destabilized me, that forgot my ability to be strong, that also was guiding me into a completion. And it was the returning of a new sense of power. And that it comes up in phases or waves. So it's what I've called drip feeding. So your consciousness will start to drip feed information to you over a period of time. What that means is that you might start to feel things in your body, like you're going off to bed and you suddenly start feeling, if it was sexual abuse, for instance, you would start to feel itchy or uncomfortable in your genitals. You might close your eyes and have a flash of a child crying. You might close your eyes or be in meditation and suddenly you've got some invasive thoughts and things that make you feel icky and you don't know how to find that peace. So what happens is your brain starts to give you little flashes of information and little bits of pieces to start to prepare you, whilst also alchemizing. So it's not that it takes some time. It takes time of like little thought forms. It takes time of imagery. It takes time of feelings and sensations. It's a process because without this drip feeding, because of the age that this fragmentation occurred, it takes quite a lot of preparation for the mind, the body to go into the memory without causing further disruption to the soul. Now, if you were to not have this drip feeding experience on any form of fragmentation, maybe you had night visits from extraterrestrials and all of a sudden you've got paranormal things, you're watching movies that are more horror movies and possession movies, or someone's talking about, or you're reading a book and about someone who has a ghost and a haunting, or your friend starts talking to you about their child and their child's having these night terrors. So that would be a drip feeding for someone who was having visitations from entities or demonic presences or souls at nighttime. And it brings this story forward to assist you to actually be ready at the time to go into it, that you've got enough that you didn't even realize you were processing, that's been processing through for quite some time. Now, what happens with these times is we make a choice in those moments that I need to give you this for safety. I need to give you this for protection. I cannot be this to maintain life in the world. I cannot do this or be this to be able to survive in this world. And ultimately that affects my mission. Ultimately that affects my purpose. That's okay. This will keep me safe for now. And so those things and severe disconnections, and how I see it for many children and adults going back into these points, is they've unplugged themselves from their motherboard. They've unplugged their heart chakra from their source connection. They've unplugged their circuitry system. And if you can imagine us like little AI beings with all of these different wirings, there's wires that are fully unplugged. There's wires that are cut. There's wires that are twisted and plugged into the wrong spot, so that you're able to function, but you're not able to function to the capacity that you came here to be. And this creates a lot of dissonance. And so what's happening collectively at the moment is a lot of cognitive dissonance, where you might have done a lot of work and consciously you know you're safe. Consciously you know even maybe about your trauma. Consciously you know X, Y, and Z, but in the subconscious or in the cellular memory or in the spirit quadrant or in some form of belief, there is a completely different reality taking place. And what that does is that splits the brain. So the brain can only function from one side or the other. And so dissonance is when you're going into wherever the cognitive truth and your true conscious perception is, you'll go into that and you could function really well, and you might be functioning really well for 70% of the day, and then the other 30% of the day you're bouncing between into the unconscious, into the fear, into the terror, into the aspects that don't make sense. But you won't be in it consistently for 30% of the day. You're going to be dancing between, which means that it's very hard to understand and make sense of. And so this dissonance works in the form of, if you've suddenly stopped remembering things, if you're having troubles with your memory, and memories in the form of, I made an appointment, or you had a conversation yesterday and you can't remember what the conversation was. Someone's saying to you, oh, I told you this. I actually told you a couple of times, and you're not remembering it. It happens in the form of not being able to communicate. So you'll talk and then you forget what you're saying halfway through. You start communicating and having language, and you can literally feel the challenge with your vocabulary and your ability to communicate, to find words. Certain words are being forgotten. Certain words are not coming through in clarity. So your language, your memory, your ability to communicate all significantly drops during these points of time. Your ability to function on anything that requires mental capacity. So, reading might suddenly be challenging. Writing posts, you might not be able to create content. You might find that patterns and pathways, things that you've done all the time, that these processes are no longer coherent or cohesive. So there is a challenge with that, because what happens when someone's going through this and they're not aware of the cognitive dissonance and the trauma and the forgotten memory and the protection programming and all of the things that are happening to get you to a point of transformation, is you will start to shame yourself because you're not functioning. You'll start to get upset that you have brain fog. You'll start to be like, what's wrong with me? Why am I so tired? Why do I need to sleep all the time? Well, you're sleeping because your body's trying to alchemize a whole lot of trauma that's held in your cellular memory and moves through your brain, and you don't actually have the capacity to do it any other way. So when we shame and wrong ourselves for our healing journey or for what's moving through us, and we don't trust the process and just let the body do what it does, we create or double down on the resistance. And so we double down on the pain experience that is taking place, and we further wrong ourselves. And this is one of the biggest things that I find with early fragmentation, childhood trauma, and returning to power, is the separation point gets even worse because we're not aware of what's taking place. So why is it so important for me to be sharing this with you? One, I've had a very big experience with this throughout my life, and it's been, and my childhood trauma has been much harder for me than any of my other experiences. Still working in the human realm for me is a little harder. I have not mastered humaning, and I'm still finding that I require new levels of anchoring and stabilization and support in different ways, and grounding, and that is okay, and that is happening, and I don't need to know how or why. I just need to keep showing up the same way that all of you do. And this is so strong to my heart and to being able to support people, because I know that not many people understand this, and I know not many people or facilitators have the capacity and the ability to work with this. I can work in facilitation without any issues within myself as a strong pillar of support and unconditional love, because I've created steps specifically to go into this, to extract the core trauma, belief, and construct of mind that's created this, and return the beauty very quickly without the somatic uncomfortability, without the overwhelm, without the energetic disruptions. And I also have the ability to meet all of the different stories because I've experienced them all. in my own form in this lifetime. So because I've experienced the different layers of abuse, I have the ability to hold space for all of those layers of abuse, but all of those different interpretations of the human psyche as well. So what I'm proposing and inviting is that I do have spaces that are opening up for the next 2 to 3 weeks to do 90-minute sessions, specifically on the fragmentation between 0 and 7 to reclaim power. Now, let's shift and focus a little bit more around the power side of things, because it is really beautiful and really exciting when we realize what we've actually disconnected from and returning to that acknowledgement. So one of the things that I find when I and my clients and different individuals go into that child is the child is the wise one. The child has the awareness. The child has the knowledge. The child has the codes. The child can tell you exactly who you are that you forgot you are because it was too scary. The child will directly tell you around your gifts, your abilities, also your purpose. So the child often holds your blueprint information into why you came here in the first place. So if you've been struggling with not knowing your purpose, it could be because your purpose information is hidden in your child, and your child has been locked away, caged away, contained, stuck in the dark, hiding somewhere, and hasn't been able to express and communicate. So building that relationship with the child is very important, because they hold the talents, they hold the unique essence. The essence of you as a spirit is in your child, and that is the power of you being able to be authentically you, the power of you being able to express who you are from your unique representation. Your essence is the energy that will bring the connection or the recognition to another. So people say it's soul remembrance. It is, but it's not. It's actually essence remembrance. So when people meet you, if you're disconnected from your essence, they can't remember you. So if you want partnership, if you want to create community, if you want to build deep connections and friendships, until your essence is returned, you actually will be unable to build the depth of soul communion and connection, because your essence isn't within your eyes. Your essence isn't through the cells of your body. Your essence isn't illuminating. You don't know what your natural expression is because it's been suppressed, disconnected, and unplugged. And you might have seen it at different points of time, right? Because we can't live without our essence for 100% of the time. Otherwise, we would come from down there. But we are able to have our essence when maybe we're exercising, or we're creating art, or we are in some kind of a flow state. And when we go into flow states, when we go into our creative expression, and when we are doing things that bring us joy, and that's where our essence will naturally appear and come up to the surface. And our power is directly connected to the essence of our own sacred Trinity. So the Trinity that's being invited at this point in time is the Trinity of you as why you were created. Now, how I can reference this is if we look at the gods and the goddesses, there was many different gods and goddesses. If you look back to the Anunnaki, you look back through history, and they were there. They were the god of, or the goddess of. Now, they held a trinity, and this trinity held 3 primary energies. The 3 primary energies were what made them a unique essence or signature of God. This energy is disconnected for many of us, and reclaiming it means we need to go into those early points of childhood experience, because when we came into this incarnation, it was there. We had our essence. We do come in with a level of awakeness. Now, sometimes some of us get unplugged at conception in different ways, and it's sort of a process, but your essence is intact by the time you come into human experiencing, and it's only an unplugging that takes place. So you could say we all come into earth experience awake and remembered. This essence, this sacred trinity of the essence of you as a created being, as this beautiful being, this requires you to know, for you to be in alignment with your truth, in communication, expression, gifts, purpose, all of the layers of who you are, how you think about the world, that needs to be stabilized within yourself, because this is the direct connection to all of the information that you came to bring here to earth, but not to mention what you've come to bring to all of the different dimensional realities of the experiences. So when you remember it, you're able to say, oh, I actually came to, I was bringing my essence to my Lyran self. I was bringing my essence to my Lemurian self. I was bringing my essence not only to the here and now, but through all time space continuum. I was created to bring this essence. So this essence holds your clarity of what is important for you purpose wise and life wise, in what brings you a sense of I know who I am, and what we would call soul remembrance. So this reconnection is necessary. Now, some of you, based on the new earth consciousness, will not need to revisit the trauma. Some of you just need to see the beliefs, the attachments, and the disassociation from your essence to reclaim your essence. Some of you will be able to reclaim your essence by knowing what the Trinity is made up of in its purified expression, and reinstating it and bringing it through your cellular structures. Others will have to see certain aspects of the fragmentation itself, because it holds a very strong power as to your pathway, what your capabilities are, understanding your talents, because often those talents are hidden and they were there and you used them to protect yourself. You used your multidimensional gifts to keep yourself in safety or security. So there's a lot of gift cultivation that happens, because we see that it wasn't that I was just unplugging myself. I was unplugging myself by using this quantum technology and this light frequency and this pathway of transformation through the gifts and the abilities that you, as ascended masters, as the 144, as the bringers of change, as beings and pillars of light, as leaders of the new earth, came here for. That Trinity. This Trinity, as we are cultivating it and stabilizing it for our path forward, will assist with any soul crises that have been taking place. So if you haven't seen that video, there is a video around soul crisis that has been bringing you to a point of remembering and your sacred heart's truth. Your essence sits in your sacred heart. Your essence is responsible for connecting you to your own holy grail in the communion and union with yourself. This soul crisis will be transformed, because your Trinity will hold the information of what it is that is actually true for you to create moving forward. So if you're meeting those barricades, those blocks, and you're a little bit confused about where you're going, you might be developing and reclaiming one aspect of your Trinity, but you can do it in a period where we go to the origin point and we see what the furthest point was, not going back in layers, and we go and we recall it and bring it here. And then you have all of the information. If you work in layers, you're getting information by information. It can be confusing, especially if you're in a trauma response and you've got cognitive dissonance, to know what is true, because you're flipping between both hemispheres of your brain trying to function in this reality. So before I go forward anymore, I just want to invite those that are feeling that they want this support over the next 3 weeks to do this childhood reconciliation process, emergence with your child, and reclaiming of your essence, your power, and your Trinity in these 90-minute sessions. Please do email me at Geeia at GeeiaAriati.com. And we can discuss whether or not this is something that you're ready for now, whether you need a little bit of pre-preparation, some transmissions, and some support to get you to that point. Because, as I said, the drip feeding part is very important. And if we do something before you're ready, you won't get there. One, your mind will be stronger than we can only get to what it is that will be safe, easeful, and of completion. So that's how I work, is people are not drawn to me until they're ready to complete cycles or to create from that integral truth. The other awareness is that this message, this 144 mission messages, is that without this reclaiming of the essence and the power, we're going to struggle with the next phase of the earth transformation. If we don't make the time, if we don't create the space, if we don't invest in this aspect, going into the next stage of earth transformation and what's going to collectively happen as a whole on the earth is going to cause you a lot of suffering. Because you will be destabilized. If you're destabilized now and you're aware that grounding, stabilizing, and assisting your nervous system, your body, and becoming strong in your pillar is important, then this is extremely important for you, because what is coming is going to destabilize. So if you're already destabilized, if you're already struggling, if you're already feeling like I can't actually keep going, there's too much tethering, there's too much up and down, I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm in all of this overwhelm, and you're not solid, you're not consistent. Thank you to my beautiful partner Brendan for being such a consistent rock, because I haven't felt like this for years. The last time was when I went through my last transcendence journey, and I was like this for 18 months straight. I cried, I hyperventilated, I was in my trauma. I didn't have the tools I have now that I can take people through in a 90-minute process to get to. I was just thrown into it, and it took over my entire life, and that was what I lived. I lived my childhood trauma, I lived my spiritual trauma, I lived my past life trauma for that period, until I could get it out and clear it into that purification process, that stabilization process, and then the transcendence, which brought me into that creative state. Now, if you don't know me and this is one of your first times, I chose to go through another evolutionary process when I chose to come back from a period of 8 months of transcendence and enlightenment, which I am ready to be again. And I was asked by God if I'd be willing to evolve again. Now, evolution means going through exactly what I'd just finished and completed, and I really didn't want to. Probably because I knew what I was about to go through. So it has been really hard. I have tried and attempted to stabilize and anchor the transcended state multiple times, and I have not been successful. And that's because of the amount of nervous system dysregulation, the amount of physical body challenge, the amount of childhood trauma that is in my physical vessel that needs to alchemize. I can't fully anchor and stabilize that to be solid until my body catches up. So what does that mean for me? If you're understanding this, then it means I need to physically get fit. It means I need to go and get bodywork sessions. It means that I need more sleep. It means I need to eat really healthy. It means that my body is my focus. That's the physical quadrant. So I've worked through the conscious quadrant, or the mental, the spiritual, and the emotional. Now it's purely physical. The only way that I'm going to be stable to keep showing up to share these messages and to not destabilize myself when these big things start happening in the world, they already are, but it depends what your version of big is, right? It depends on what what's big for you. What don't you know? What will you be shocked by, right? Because that's what it is. It's different layers of consciousness will experience different catalysts on the evolution of the earth, which is transforming our human consciousness to be able to move into that 5D frequency and to come from heart-based living. That's the journey. So this is important. I do want to stress that, because that is where the timing. So if you felt rushing, because I kept hearing the response of like, I know that you feel like you need to get everything done now, but do you really? And I was like, no, I don't. The more that I push myself with time, also the counterintuitive and productive it is. But there is an awareness of time, that what was necessary for me to get to here was to, yes, let go of the pressure of time, but also acknowledge that there is a time sensitivity. How do I work with time? And how do I actually give up the repetitive cycle that I'm seeking to know, right? So there's a lot of seeking to know. There's a lot of seeking to understand. There's a lot of seeking to interpret. There's a lot of seeking to gain knowledge. But really, it's about giving that up and just claiming power, accepting what is. You can look at your fragmentation inside out, upside down, and still not accept it. You could have books upon books upon books of diary entries, all kinds of different things about your shadow. But until you're really willing to accept, take ownership and accountability for your life experience, you cannot be in your power and you cannot stabilize. So accountability, acceptance, ownership, and trusting and that you are exactly where you need to be right now. Because if you listen to this message to this point in time at 35 minutes and 28 seconds, then you are absolutely exactly where you need to be right now. Just keep listening. Just keep going on. You are so supported, so loved. We're doing an amazing job. We are the forefront of consciousness of a new earth reality. We are bringing in frequencies. We're experiencing things within ourselves that has never existed on the planet before. This is the Great Awakening, the Ascension, and I'm so proud of each and every one of you. I'm so proud of myself. I'm so proud of myself. And I love you so, 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 so deeply. Please share this message with anyone who you might feel is going through this, that can receive it. And if you haven't heard about our Recoding Wealth Creation session, that is on in half an hour. So you can find that in my link tree. It is a donation-based offer. And we are using Kundalini, and we're looking at the knee chakras, the physical plane. So very much working in that physical quadrant around purpose and the missing information. So we're going to do a process on communicating, learning a little bit of medical mediumship to communicate with your knees, to understand the direction of your purpose. And then we're going to do Kundalini breath work to awaken the coding and the focus direction of that energy and reconciliation. So I would love to have you there. And if you can't make this one, we do these fortnightly at different times each week with different themes around the Soul Wealth Matrix and how to develop this within yourself. Soul Wealth Matrix is soul connected to body, form, and the ability of currency that you can hold. So destabilized people have struggles holding their currency. So they might have a lot of currency coming in and then lose a lot of currency, or they might be depleted of currency. And this directly affects your ability with being able to supply and support yourself in this physical realm as a human being. To be on purpose, you need your needs met. That means shelter, food, water, companionship. All right. I love you. I love you. I love you. Until next time.